Good day everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited about today's video because this has been a long one in the making. Today we're going to go through my huge desk setup upgrade. I've looked at everything: lighting, monitor, video, audio, and other tools that will make your setup the ultimate setup. Now, as you might know, I'm a tech entrepreneur and I'm involved from everything from media to sales. And so I really wanted to be able to deliver the most optimal system and setup for my workflow. And that's what I've done. So without further ado, I'm going to take you through everything that I've got to craft the most incredible setup. And so here you have it. This is my setup. This is where I spend the majority of my day, almost every day of the week. I spend a lot of time here working, creating, speaking with teams, sales sessions, you name it. This is a place that I obviously wanted to invest a lot of my time and effort to make it as personalized to my workflow, as well as the most convenient setup and enjoyable one to spend that length of time. And so I'm going to be going through, as I mentioned, the various components and the thought process that went to choosing that exact item. There's nothing on this desk that didn't have a huge amount of thought going into it, right the way through from AirPods to a Vulcan MagSafe connector to use for continuity cam, but we'll get to that later. So firstly, I think it's right to start with audio. It took me quite a bit of thought of what I'm going to do to make sure that I'm getting quality audio. It is in a fairly small room and I have struggled with echo, but I wanted to make sure that I could get a mic that would perform at an almost podcast quality level, that I could use for content, that I could use for meetings, and just sound that little bit more professional than the rest of the room. This microphone is the Shure MV7, and this is a baby brother of the Shure SNB7. And so it comes from a family of really high quality mics. That is the real gold standard in the industry, and this really attempts to mix an XLR mic with a USB-C mic. It packs so many of those real neat functionalities that you get from a USB mic, where you're able to digitally interact with the mic. You know, you can mute straight off of the mic if you wish. You've got a readout, and you've got the ease of not needing clunky additional hardware. Now, the cost to upgrade from this to go through to the gold standard would mean getting XLR cables, getting an audio interface, and suddenly you're looking at 2 to 3 times the input. And so this for me was the highest quality mic that I could get on a semi-reasonable budget. It's not cheap, but it's definitely worth it. And if you compare it to what you're getting from an audio quality perspective, I can highly recommend it. I've really enjoyed the audio and the software that comes with it, which allows you to really adjust your voice, your tone, and it gives you that high quality audio going into a meeting and creating content. And so I can highly recommend it. Now, a mic is almost lost without a boom arm, and that's when I really started looking to what options I could get from a boom arm perspective. And so it led me to multiple different options, and there were really great other ones, but I ended up settling on the Elgato boom arm. Now, this is a low profile arm, and it's able to really, for me, tuck away neatly without having too much to worry. The boom arms that would come over for me sort of got a little bit clunky and a little bit in the way. I like the neat form factor of this, and I like the fact that it was simple and neat, sturdy build, good cable management. You can see here that it's got these magnetic plates that you can run your cable neatly through. And as I've mentioned, this whole setup has been neatly cable managed. And so that for me was a real win in order to be able to tuck the cable neatly into the arm. It's got a very sturdy build, it doesn't wobble. And that's all you're looking for from a boom arm. So I can highly recommend the Wave Mic Arm LP, which is the low profile one. On the theme of Elgato, I looked at the Elgato products and I started looking more and more, and it first started with a boom arm and suddenly I was hooked. Not because I've been sponsored by them or anything, but just by the ecosystem. It really ties in so well together, and they've taken, a specific audience in mind, and they've tried to build the ecosystem around them of products that they need. Now, I'm not a streamer, but as I said, I wanted to make sure that I could produce the best quality live videos for meetings, sales sessions, and even for streaming for potential webinars, streaming content, training content, or whatever it may be that you might be using it for. This equipment from a streaming perspective from Elgato has that person in mind, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't come really in handy for someone that's trying to up their game in those sorts of areas. And so that's where I moved on to getting other equipment from Elgato. And the next thing that I'd like to highlight here is the Stream Deck. Now, I've been having tons of fun with the Stream Deck. It's allowed me to do a multitude of different things. And it is such a simple device in the sense that it gives you buttons to trigger events. And on top of that, this new Stream Deck, it's given you dials so that you can, on top of buttons triggering actions, you can adjust settings like brightness of your lights. If you've got Elgato ones, you can adjust the temperature, you can adjust things like your mic volumes, your inputs, and then on top of that, you can add various actions on these buttons. So the first set of things that I use the buttons for is muting and unmuting. There's nothing worse than when you're looking for that mute button on a random tab and you're trying to unmute. It's so convenient to just have it here and simply mute and unmute in a Discord channel, in a Teams chat, or whatever streaming software you use. And so that alone is almost worth it for me. But of course, there are so many other things that you can use this for. I've got my lights set up that I can turn my lights on and off with a click of a button, which is really great. On top of that, I've got a record button, which is basically an automation in Apple home automations, which will then trigger setting up the correct lights, opening the right pieces of software like OBS and so on, at the click of a button. The nice thing with a Stream Deck is that you can tab between sounds boards. So you've got different sets of buttons and you can go between them, which gives you really endless amounts of options for sound clips. And with the click of a button, you've got sound effects on hand, which makes some calls extremely funny. Others that are more serious, possibly not using as many sound clips, but it brings a different element to presentations, a different element if you are streaming, or even team meetings where you're looking to bring a bit of humor. And so I've really been enjoying the Stream Deck. Finally, the last use case is for a lot of our sessions. I've programmed our demo sites that we use with clients, and I've programmed the various camera angles that I've set up on OBS so I can switch between my main full cam to presenter window to mixing our camera feed with our platform so that when we're presenting, you can get that real instructional view in a live format. And so that's been amazing. Awesome. Now, having discussed the Stream Deck, it obviously leads then onto lighting. I wanted to make sure that I could get a well evenly lit setup, and I really feel like I've gone for the gold standard here in terms of compact lighting that doesn't need huge soft boxes, doesn't cause a huge amount of heat in your room if it's hot, and that's the Elgato key lights. And so I've got two Elgato key lights, which you could really argue that it's an overkill. But one thing I can say is that it's really transformed the way I work, the quality of the video that I have on my feeds. The quickest way to fix a bad video is improve your lighting, not change your camera. It really makes a massive difference. The way that it's so soft and that you can then dial up the temperature, dial up the brightness. Most days I have it at 20 to 30% with both of the lights. But if you crank these things up to 100%, you can barely look at them. So I must say it's probably for the majority of people, one Elgato key light would be fantastic, and even one of the minis might do the job for you. But for me, I wanted the dual evenly lit light sources, and they've just been unreal. I've enjoyed them, and I've enjoyed the way that they are so soft on your eyes. When you're working for long periods of time, it's not causing eye strain either. So I can highly recommend the Elgato key lights, and when you do start to pair it with things like the Stream Deck, you get that extra convenience. Next up is the monitor. This is the main centerpiece of any setup, and for the past couple of years I've been using the LG 5K ultrafine 27-inch display, and I've loved it to bits. It works so seamlessly with the Mac interface. It's got a crystal clear image, and it's exactly the same panel that you'll get in the new Apple Studio display. And so it was something that I've sat with for so long, but I've been itching to upgrade for the past couple of months. And the reason being is that I am after more real estate. And in all honesty, my ideal setup will be a dual monitor display with the addition of the laptop. And so what I've settled on is the Dell U3223QE. I know these long names, but essentially it's their 32-inch 4K ultrafine display in a way. And the things that really pushed me to upgrade to this monitor was going from the 27-inch to the 32-inch. And the second thing, which I really enjoy, is the selection of ports behind the monitor. Now with a MacBook, typically speaking, even with the upgraded ports on the newest MacBooks, there still isn't enough things like USB-A slots, Ethernet ins. And so the one huge selling factor for me on this monitor was the fact that you've effectively got a full USB hub at the back of the monitor. And for me, it's just been such a fantastic thing that I can, with one monitor and one cable, power my laptop and plug in all of those peripherals without having to need additional hubs or dongles. And so that is the first and foremost the two reasons that I've gone for this monitor. In the future, I will definitely be getting a second one of these, and then I think the setup will be complete. But for now, I'm really enjoying the additional real estate with the 32-inch. Because of that size, you can really crank up that resolution. I used to run the 27-inch not in full 5K because it was just impossible. You couldn't read pretty much anything at that 5K, and I've got really good eyes. And so I'm running this actually in the native 4K, but over the 32 inches. And so the pixel density on this display is not nearly as good as the 218 that Apple always targets with their Retina displays. But I must say, I've looked in a couple of the design softwares, I've looked at some of the video, and I really must say that I'm impressed with the quality of this monitor. If you really pixel peep, you can see the difference. But for all of my needs, and I think for the 99% of people's needs out there, getting a monitor with a 4K resolution is going to do the job for you. I would highly recommend spending the extra money and getting a 4K monitor and not going for a monitor. Even if you're not going to run at a 4K resolution, the crispness of text, if you're spending that amount of time looking at a monitor a day, it's worth your while to invest and just get a monitor that is going to not strain your eyes as much. And on top of that, you get to enjoy that crystal clear image. So that's the reason that I've gone for this Dell. It's arguably one of the best displays for a MacBook that's not made by Apple. And I have to preface that because the cost of this monitor is almost less than half of the studio display. And so in a perfect world, I would love 2 studio displays. And in an even more perfect world, I would love Apple's Pro XDR display. But Apple's Pro XDR display costs probably more than this whole setup, almost. And so, yeah, that's really not a reality or something I could warrant spending it on. And the next best is to have that same 32-inch form factor, really thin bezels, and having a 4K monitor. So that's the centerpiece of my setup, and I'm really enjoying it and can recommend that model. Finally, I'm going to chat about a couple of the other little items that I've got on my desk that just make my day easier. So the first thing is my MagSafe charger. This MagSafe charger works so well using it, charging my AirPods during the day, obviously throwing my phone onto it to charge. It really is convenient. And with the new iOS updates that are coming, with the phone sitting in horizontal mode, it's going to work like a bit of a smart hub. I'll be able to do things like open my garage door, maybe stream the camera in the baby's room, whatever the case may be, and have neat controls like that ready to go. It's sitting in a cheap silicone case that just props it up. Now, exactly the same, I've got my little silicone casing for the Apple Watch charger, which I put my Apple Watch on. Since upgrading to the Apple Watch Ultra, I'll say I'm using the charger a lot less, which has been unreal, but super handy to have it on charge there. Again, when you put your charge horizontal mode, it acts like a little clock, and it's really neat, convenient, and easy to use. The next thing that I'm using so much is this MagSafe accessory from Belkin. Now, this MagSafe accessory basically enables you to use continuity camera successfully. What does that mean? It means that you use your iPhone as your webcam. Every single day, I'm now using my iPhone as my primary camera for important meetings or recording content or whatever the case may be. And the results show it is unreal. Using portrait mode and using the studio lighting effect, you get a quality of image that is so close to something of a professional camera. And if you had to take those 2 pieces of footage, yes, you'd be able to tell. But you've got to remember, this video is being pushed through things like Zoom and Teams where the video is getting compressed. And so that's why I'll be bold to say that the quality of the video that's coming out to other users on the other end is almost comparable. But one thing's for sure, your video is head and shoulders above the rest. When you look at other people's webcams and random settings, it just makes such an impression when you do have that quality of video. And the truth is, for most people, the best camera is in their pocket. And so I'm loving continuity camera, and I would definitely suggest getting an accessory like that. And even if you don't get that, you could get a stand or something else for your phone to use it in that mode. Other things on my desk that I use, sometimes you forget to charge your phone, and that's just a reality. You need to run out, whatever the case may be. It's so handy just to have a little battery bank that you can MagSafe onto the back of your phone, and you've got a bit of extra juice. I must say the battery's been fantastic on the 14 Pro, so I've had to use it less and less than I did with the 13, but it's still so handy to have it. Small things, Apple cloth, what would we do without it? Just use another cloth. But it works, it does its job, and it's fantastic to have. Other than that, I'm relying every single day on my AirPod Pros. I don't know what I would do without them. I must say I've been tempted to get the AirPod Maxes so many times, but the AirPod Pros really just do the job. And so yeah, that is my setup. I'm super proud of it. I really enjoy sitting and working here in an area that I'm comfortable at, having all the tools that I need to get the job done. And so I must say I can recommend that you invest into your setup, whatever you can afford, just to make each day that you're working at it a more enjoyable one. I hope you've taken away something of value. I hope you've got an idea or two for your setup, and I'd love to hear if you have any comments or recommendations for my setup. That would be amazing. Lastly, but not least, I'd like to thank our sponsor Flex. Flex is a fantastic learning management system, and actually broader than that, a learning ecosystem. Flex allows users to basically take their content online and deliver it and administrate it to learners across the world. They make it easy to set up. You can get set up within days and have your content live to people around the world. I'd highly recommend that you go check out Flex. I'll leave you with a video from our sponsor, but until I see you again, I hope you keep well. All the best. See you soon. Bye.
The way training businesses are going digital is broken. Legacy learning management systems, manual assessment processes, broken delivery across web and mobile, complex coding, expensive software subscriptions, it all adds up, making it difficult to be competitive and scale. And ultimately, you are left behind. Introducing Flex. Flex's digital training system changes everything. Imagine a new age learning management system, digital assessment tool, and digital portfolio of evidence all in one platform, allowing you to create, deliver, and administer training and learning experiences seamlessly. Flex allows you to create content quickly and easily with built-in authoring tools. Learning content can now be launched in seconds, not days. You'll have the flexibility to offer tailored learning experiences. You can now make learning engaging and interactive. Whether your learners prefer mobile, web, or desktop applications, Flex has got you. Our dynamic learner pathways take learning beyond the traditional linear approach. Use smart push notifications to keep your learners engaged. And with our e-commerce tools, you can easily grow your revenue by selling your learning experiences. Assessing assignments and examinations are now faster and easier than ever before. You can digitally assess and remediate written assignments in a matter of seconds. Plus, we offer beautiful certificate templates that can be automatically issued upon completion, saving you time and effort. You can also build a digital portfolio of evidence for learners that can be shared and exported. Our first-of-its-kind reports and analytics will help you stay on top of everything and drive success for your business. Flex is the tool that will take your training to the next level. You can increase your revenue and reduce costs and wasted time exponentially. Our engaging user experience is designed to fascinate and engage learners. Flex offers unmatched flexibility and tools to unleash your full potential. Give yourself an unfair advantage and get started with Flex today.